The untold story of the Dunkirk evacuation. Christopher Nolan's epic war film Dunkirk catapulted the story of the Dunkirk evacuations into the collective consciousness with its release and critical acclaim. As anyone who has seen the film will know, the German army's quick push through Europe resulted in the humiliating defeat of the combined British and French armies. The remaining men of the British Expeditionary Force were stranded in Dunkirk and in desperate need of rescue. Churchill had planned and expected only 30,000 troops to return to British soil. He was happily surprised to hear that the joint evacuation efforts of the Royal Navy and British civilian ships managed to save slightly about 350,000 Allied soldiers. This is the story which most people seem to think of when they hear about the Dunkirk evacuations. But one story that is rarely told is that of the Siege of Lille, a battle that took place concurrently with the evacuations and saw some 40,000 French troops fight multiple waves of advancing elite Wehrmacht soldiers. Without the heroic efforts of these brave French soldiers, Churchill's pessimistic prediction might have come true. The Phony War and the Maginot Line. There was a time known as the Phony War after the Allies declared war on Germany following their invasion of Poland. During this time, the Allies did nothing, giving Hitler the time he needed to plan his ground invasion of France. The Maginot Line ran along France's border with Germany. The Maginot Line was a line of fortifications built to stop a German invasion. It was almost impenetrable. The Maginot Line, however, was only extended up to the Belgian border. Furthermore, the French had left the Ardennes, an area densely forested with undulating hills, unprotected. The Ardennes was seen as a naturally impenetrable area by the French and British leaders, but the German High Command did not agree with this viewpoint. While Hitler launched his troops into Belgium, evading the Maginot Line, the Allies sped up their advance to meet him. The Germans, on the other hand, had a plan: blitzkrieg. Lightning War. Early in May 1940, 50 Wehrmacht divisions advanced across the Ardennes and behind the Allied lines. They carried the last stronghold at Dunkirk by quickly encircling and trapping the Allied forces. By May 28, the Axis forces had closed in on Dunkirk, trapping nearly 400,000 Allied soldiers who were waiting for an evacuation that might never arrive. As the Allies continued to pour onto the Dunkirk beaches, the French 4 and 5 Corps engaged in a street-to-street battle with the Germans to keep the stranded soldiers safe. The Siege of Lille. All routes to Dunkirk were blocked by the French 4 Corps, led by General Ames, and the 5 Corps, led by General Altmaier. The 40,000 French forces were dwarfed by the 160,000 highly trained German soldiers charging in against them as they faced up against 4 infantry divisions and 3 tank divisions. German troops continuously probed and pushed against the French defenses as the Dunkirk evacuations were in progress. The French army fought house to house in a determined retreat through the Lille suburbs, which were still occupied by a large number of French civilians. The French army held firm at Dunkirk as the Allies withdrew nearly all of their troops over the course of 4 days of warfare. At midnight on May 31st, after the last evacuation ship had departed the French coast and their food and ammunition were running low, the commanding officers of the French troops negotiated surrender with the German commander, General Kurt Weger. An honorable surrender. On June 1st, 1940, 35,000 French troops and some remnant British troops surrendered to the Germans at La Grande Place. The French garrison paraded through the Grand Place as the German forces stood at attention and saluted their defeated enemies. General Weger, who was extremely impressed by the tenacity of the French men, granted them the honors of war. The German High Command severely reprimanded General Weger for this honor. A gallant and splendid contribution. Churchill later called the Siege of Lille a splendid contribution to the Allied war effort because it slowed the German assault for 4 days, allowing the British Expeditionary Force to leave Dunkirk. The French army's actions at the Siege of Lille surely helped the British in their impending battle and also gave a great morale boost to the British soldiers by diverting around 7 German divisions for 4 whole days. The French get a bad reputation for surrendering, but the Siege of Lille shows that surrendering can come with great honor. Thanks for watching.